Right, one of the things that I wasn't sure about was the gear stick and how I was going to make the linkage from its sort of very indirect linkage set up at the moment for a forward control cab to a direct or almost direct linkage for the normal control cab of the ZIL. I think I've got that sussed. Well, not quite sussed, but I think I know the direction in which to go. I was looking at some of the Land Rover forums, and it turns out now people have which seems mad, but people have been putting these into Land Rovers. There's much more documentation. They tend to document their stuff better, or perhaps there's just more of them than the people doing conversions into lorries. So I think I know how to do that by just getting rid of all that linkage and using part of the ZIL linkage and possibly a bit of one of the scrap Land Rover gearboxes that I've got lying around. So I think that's in hand. Today's job then is to split the engine and gearbox and have a look at the state of the clutch. Now on the one road journey that we made, Mark was following behind me in his Land Rover and he said he could smell the clutch most of the way back, and certainly I noticed it slipping badly as I was trying to pull away from junctions and such. So I'm not expecting it to be a pretty sight inside, but rather than just go ahead and order a new clutch, I thought I'll check first, because it turns out new clutches for these things are rather expensive, so it's about £300 for a new clutch. So just to be absolutely sure, I'm going to take this one off and have a good look at it first. I may even investigate the possibility of getting it relined rather than replaced, but I don't know yet. Anyway, let's try splitting them. That's going to be adventure enough. Right, because it's on the trailer, I should be able to jack it. I can get I've got some scissor jacks from scrap cars. If I can get a scissor jack under there, that's like the lowest profile jack I think I own. I can push that underneath the back of the oil sump here and just take the weight of the engine, and I should be able to undo the bell housing bolts and tickle it backwards. Doesn't sound like a plan? Anyway, let's try it. I'm hoping then I can support the back of the engine using one of my little scissor jacks. This is the smallest one I could find. Handy things to have actually, every time I scrap a vehicle, which is, yeah, I don't think I've ever sold a vehicle except to the scrapyard. I always take out the jack, and they come in handy for things like this. I'm not trying to lift it up per se, I'm just trying to take the, once I've undone all the bolts, just take the weight of the engine a bit. As at the moment it's sat on the front mounts, or possibly on the sump, chocked on these breeze blocks, and then it's sat on the gearbox. I'm just going to lift it up enough that I can shuffle the gearbox back. I don't think I've got it in me to actually lift the gearbox. Hopefully though I can just pull it backwards, skate it along this metal surface of this trailer. Zoom into this. Oh, I can smell burnt clutch even now, months later. In here, this thrust bearing's not too clever, but not too bad either. Lots of dust, lots of lining dust. Yeah, it stinks of burnt clutch. There's the clutch. The next job is to get that out and look at it. I'm pretty sure what I'm going to find. Is any of you out there with any experience of messing about with old vehicles and the like, will know the smell of burnt clutch is always the smell of impending doom. struggle to get home if at all. That looks awful. So I've no idea how thick these are supposed to be when they're made, but I'm sure it's a lot thicker than it is now. It's not actually down to the rivets, just about. But yeah, certainly not much material there. So what I'm showing you here is possibly see on camera. It's kind of rainbow colours. That shows that this has got very hot enough to form oxides that have discoloured the metal. This one's not as bad, but that's where it's been constantly slipping. Yeah, don't like the look of that. So as I expected, this does need replacing, definitely. I'm going to go in now and consult the manual and see how much of the rest of it I should replace and how much I can get away with leaving as it is. I just thought I'd show you as well, that's the one that I found had been sheared off, and there you can see the remains of the bolt are still in there in the engine block. That's what it's supposed to look like, that one next to it. So what they've done is just cut off a bit of it and then glued it in to the bell housing. Just cheeky. In here then we've got the new clutch kit, which also arrived this week. So the clutch kit is the friction plate, a new very heavy pressure plate and a thrust bearing. So now I've got my reconditioned flywheel and the rest of the clutch kit. I can put it all back on the engine, put the gearbox back on, and it's ready to stick in the truck. I think the last time the clutch was changed, they didn't do anything to the flywheel, and I think then by putting in a new clutch kit but without resurfacing the flywheel, it just failed fairly soon. So that's why the clutch that I took off there, although it's in horrible condition, the friction material isn't particularly worn. Anyway, so something to look out for when you come to change your clutch. Make sure the flywheel is in good nick. Anyway, let's get it fully fitted. No, I've got to put the bearing back in there. Right, I'll try and show you what's happening. I've got the flywheel mounted then. Inside there is the actual friction plate. And then we've got the pressure plate on the outside. Now they've got to line up. So the flywheel is obviously fixed. The pressure plate is kind of loose at the moment. It's on these bolts, but they're not done up. So I can move that in and out. And at the moment it's out, so that that can move. And here, you can see in there, these splines on the friction plate have to line up with the bearing inside the flywheel, and I can do that by putting in the clutch alignment tool and moving it about like that. So they all have to be in line so that this spline on the gearbox can engage, and then this thrust bearing, which will be replaced with a new one, the thrust bearing is pushed by the clutch, pushes into these springs and releases allows that to spin freely. And that's how clutch works. That's a poor explanation of how clutch works. Anyway, the point is, I have to get this friction plate, which is currently loose, locked in position, central to this slot and to the inner bearing. I can kind of lift the box on my own, but I can't. I need to lift both ends together and turn the bit that's sticking out the back of the gearbox to engage the splines and get it all to go. And yeah, I can't do that on my own. So I either need to lift it with a crane or lift it with another person. Yeah, progress at least. Right, pack up dinner.
Stop talking.
Why?
Because that's all I do on all the videos.
Yeah, but you'll be editing this one, so it'll be fine.
Oh.
make yourself look really clever. It's a big chance.